Hi everyone. Now that we have seen what the inference question type is all about, we know how to identify this question type now. So the next thing that we're going to learn is what is the strategy that we need to use to attempt this question type. By strategy, what I mean is that you should know exactly what to do when you come across an inference question type. You should know what your step 1 is, what is the next step that you're supposed to take, and so on. Now let's go ahead and see those steps. Step 1 is read the question stem. That's going to be the same for all the question types that we are going to see in the reading and writing section of the digital SAT. You have to read the question stem to understand which type you're dealing with. The second step is going to be that you read the text. Right now you will go ahead and read the text. Now how you're going to read the text, we'll see that later in this video. The step 3 is predict the missing information. Now you have to predict the missing information. So because of the previous video, by now you know that the inference question type is where a text is incomplete, correct? And you've got to complete it. Logically you have to complete it. So what is that missing information that is going to make sense? You'll have to make some tentative prediction for it. So how to go ahead and predict that information, not exactly, but have a basic understanding of what that information can be. We're going to predict that as well. The fourth step and the final step is option elimination. You will then, with this understanding, you will go ahead and eliminate your options. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take two examples. We're going to take two inference questions of two different difficulty levels. These questions are released by College Board. So please understand the steps that I'm going to take up and how I'm really doing it. You've got to understand that. Okay, so this is the first question. As you can already see, the difficulty level is easy. This is a College Board released question. So if you want, you can pause the video here, try this question out on your own, and then understand how I'm using my strategy steps to get my answer for this question. Alright, let's go ahead and take up the step 1, that is read the question stem. The mention of logically completes, this tells me that this is an inference based question, correct? Now let's go to the step 2. Step 2 is reading the text. The text over here, I have basically just aligned them as per their sentences so that we can be focused on which particular sentence we are reading and how we are supposed to read it. So let's see the first sentence. Researchers wanted to study how consumers' reactions to an ad may be affected by other ads. So take a pause here. Understand what are they trying to study. They are studying consumers' reactions to an ad getting affected by other ads. So how are consumers reacting to an ad which can have an effect by other ads? Right? So their reaction, we are focused on consumers' reactions to an ad. Now let's read the next sentence. The researchers began by showing, now this is going to be about the research. What did they do in the research? They began by showing study participants an ad for a product. So the first thing that they did was they showed the participants an ad for a product, with some seeing a less detailed and others seeing a more detailed one. So here the participants are divided into two parts, right? Some participants are seeing an ad which is less detailed and the other participants are seeing an ad which is more detailed. But the ad is on the same product. It's about the same product, just that one is more detailed and the other is less detailed. Then, so what is the next thing that's happening in the research? All participants viewed the same second ad for a store. So now all the participants are seeing one ad, right? Some other ad, but they all are seeing the same ad. What is that ad about? It's on a store, it's for a store, and shared their opinion of the store based on this second ad. So now that they have seen the second ad, they have been asked as to what their opinion is about the store, right? Based on the second ad that they saw. What do they think about the store? Right? Now let's read ahead. Participants who had first seen an ad less detailed. So we are connecting these two ads that they had seen, right? So now we are talking about the first group. That is the participants who saw the less detailed ad for the product. Then the second ad had a higher opinion of the store than the participants who had first seen a more detailed ad. So this sentence can be very confusing if you try to read it at a go. So please take pauses and try to understand what they are saying. We're talking about two things over here, right? We're talking about two groups. The first group, the one who saw less detailed ad, right? What was their opinion of the store? They had a higher opinion of the store, so they probably liked the store more compared to the participants who had first seen a more detailed ad. So the ones that saw less detailed ad, they liked the store more compared to those participants who saw a more detailed ad. So it's basically talking about the impact of seeing a detailed ad on the other ad that they saw later for the store. Right, their opinions changed for the store, right? That is how, that is how the two sentences are placed, and that is what they're trying to say. The last sentence, the researchers concluded that reactions to an ad may be affected by. So now what are you looking for? You're looking for an answer to the question that what is it that's affecting the reactions of these participants, right, to the ad that they saw. What is that one factor that's changing the reactions or affecting the reactions to the ad that they saw, the second ad that they saw? We clearly know the answer to this, that is the detailed ad, right? So that is the only differentiation between them. Some had seen a more detailed ad, some had seen less detailed ad. They all saw the same second ad for a store, but their opinions were altered for the store based on the previous ad that they saw. Right, the ones who saw less detailed one, they liked the store. The ones who saw the more detailed one, they did not like that store as compared to the first group. Now with all this understanding, let's go ahead and eliminate our options. Okay, option A, the number of people who viewed the ad. Did the text anywhere talk about the number of people who are viewing the ad? Nowhere, right? Nowhere in the text did they mention about the number of people viewing the ad. This is totally irrelevant because this is not what affected their reactions. We know the answer to this. The answer is the detailed ad, right? Detailed and less detailed ad. That is what affected their reactions in certain way, not the number of people. So this is just irrelevant. Now this option can be incorrect, can be marked incorrect because it's just irrelevant to the text. Let's look at B, the length of time. Now this, you might feel like this is the correct option. Why you might think this is the correct option is because you are comparing or you are finding a similarity between less detailed and less time. Right, you're probably thinking that these two things are same, but that's not the same thing, right? Less detailed is basically not more information given, but less time means the time is less. Correct? The problem with choice B is that nowhere in the text we were told that how much time the ad took. It was just about the detailed and less detailed one. More information given, not more information given. That's it. We don't know if they were lengthier or shorter. Correct? So this is totally irrelevant. Saying that something is less detailed or took lesser time is not the same, right? Less detailed and less time is not the same. Please understand that. Okay, let's look at C now. The amount of detail viewed in previous ads. Now, this is exactly what the text talked about, right? And this is exactly what affected the reactions. The kind of detail, the amount of details that they saw in the previous ad. The people who saw lesser detailed ads, they liked the store. The people who saw more detailed ads, they did not like the store as much as the first group liked. Correct? So C clearly makes sense as per the text, but let's go ahead and look at D now. The time of day that the ad is viewed. Okay, this is totally incorrect because the time is not relevant, right? So this is irrelevant. The text did not talk about time at all. It did not talk about number of people. It did not talk about the length of time of the ads. So clearly they all could be eliminated because they all are irrelevant, and C is the correct choice. Now I hope you understood how I used the same strategy in this particular question to get my answer. Right, this was a basic level question. Now let's go ahead and move to the medium level question. Alright, the first step is again the same. Read the question stem, logically completes, tells me that this is an inference question, correct? The second step is read the text. Again, the lines are being divided so that it's easier for you to read and understand. Let's read this. So Anna Castillo's, let's just call this person AC. AC's 1986 novel, The M Letters, is a story told entirely through expressive letters from the narrator to her friend. So we are talking about this novel. And what is this novel? It's about expressive letters from the narrator to her friend. These are just a collection of letters written by narrator to her friend. Letters that Castillo suggests could be read in several different orders. So there's no particular order of reading the letters. It can be read in many orders, right? Let's read ahead. As they began reading it in class, some students, okay, so we are reading these letters in a class. Some students have something to say. Some students remarked that they found the novel's letter format daunting, difficult, and its treatment of gender relations old-fashioned. So two problems the students identified in the novel's letter. Right, that it's difficult, the format is difficult, and the treatment of gender relations, that's old-fashioned. So it's talking about something that's old-fashioned. These are the problems that the students found in the book or the letters. The professor, however, so something is changing. The mention of however tells me that some contradiction is going to come up. The professor, however, pointed out that the novel is written in modern sounding language. So the professor is proving the students wrong. He is not in favor of the students, and he says that the letters are written in modern sounding language, so it's not old fashioned, right, and addresses issues that still matter today. So modern sounding, it's not difficult, the format should not be difficult ideally, and it addresses issues that are still present today or they still matter today, so they are not old-fashioned, suggesting that the M letters are. So what does this argument that the professor gave to the students suggest about the M letters? We know the answer to this also, right? So if we have to really predict what the missing information can be, it can be that, the M letters are not old-fashioned, they are not daunting, the format is not daunting. Correct? It's the opposite of what the students had to say. So understand, the mention of however is doing a lot of work for us already. So it tells me that there is a contradiction, and the contradiction has to be opposite of what's given to me earlier. So to fill in the blank, I simply created a contradiction of what's given to me earlier. Right? Now with this understanding, let's go ahead and eliminate our options. A has more to say. So the letters has more to say about gender relations than other novels from the same period. Is there any kind of a comparison given to us in the text? Are the students comparing this novel with any current novel of the same period? No, right? There is no comparison. The text wants to know that what this argument that the professor gave about the books tells us about these letters, right? Nowhere the text is comparing anything. So this is definitely out. This is irrelevant. Right? Let's look at B. Is more relevant to contemporary audiences, current day, present day audiences than it may seem at first. So yeah, clearly the professor says that it's a current thing. It's not an outdated thing, right? So he's trying to say that this is probably relevant to contemporary audiences than it may seem at first. So initially you might feel like it's not related to the present day audiences, but it is actually more relevant today, right? So I already like this option because the professor wants to say the same thing, that this is not outdated, right? Let's look at C now. Is easier to read than many contemporary novels that focus on friendship. Now this is again a comparison between two types of novels or two different categories of novels. So it's not about whether this M letters is easy to read compared to some other contemporary novels or not, right? This comparison is not given to me in the text. They don't care about the comparison anywhere in the text. It's about what these letters are doing, right? Are they out-fashioned? Are they old-fashioned or not? That's a simple question, correct? As per the professor, it's not old-fashioned, so I will definitely not say that it's old-fashioned. But there is no comparison as such with other contemporary novels, right? So this is also incorrect because it's irrelevant to the text. Let's look at D. Is best understood after multiple readings in different orders. Now, how is it best understood? It's not been told to me in the text. The first sentence in the text, it simply told me that Castello suggests it could be read in several different orders. You can, if you want, you can read these letters in different orders. But is this the best way to understand? Is this the best way to read to understand? That's not been told to me in the text. So what is the best way to read it to really understand the letters? I don't know. That's not been told to me in the text. So this is irrelevant again. So I hope by now you've understood how an option can be irrelevant and how this is a common option elimination reason, right? You will often, in this particular question type, you will often get these options which will be irrelevant to the text and you have to identify it. Is that being talked about in the text or not? Or do they care about this particular point or not? What is it that they are trying to tell you in the text? What is the focus of the text and what is the option telling you? You'll have to check with these things to identify what your correct option is. So guys, please go ahead and try this particular strategy when you're practicing inference question type next. That's all for now, and in the next video you will have some difficult level inference questions just to show how this strategy can be applied in real time. Thank you.